Juicy.
Okay, guys, if you're here, thank you. You're on my Patreon. That's pretty cool.
Elite group.
Elite group. This is the Juicy Bits, where we kind of just talk about pretty random shit, but I'm going to tell you ahead of time what we're doing. So we just finished an episode on some relationship stuff. That's how it feels. Some relationship things with Jared and me, if you want to go listen to that. But right now, I'm going to bring up some relationship topics on Reddit, and we're going to discuss them because I recently got into Reddit over this last year, and you've always been a Redditor, as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's quite funny sometimes. Sometimes they're really fucking mean, and I don't like people on Reddit. But sometimes I'm like, no, this shit's funny. So I decided I'm going to let you pick from these topics which one you want to get into together. Relationship icks, or these two will probably go together, but what did you do to reignite your relationship with your partner but instead ruined it? And then there's other ones too that will probably go into that one. People who waited for marriage. Did sex turn out to be everything you've ever dreamed of or not? So the kind of some stuff that we talked about on our relationship podcast or episode.
Let's do icks. It's always fascinating.
Icks are interesting. But what's your
people.
ick with me?
Oh, how do I backpedal? I don't know.
Wait. That was actually a question we got. Do we have any icks with each other? I don't have like real icks, because icks are something that like gots to get away as fast as I can.
Mm-hmm.
But is there anything I do that you're just like, fuck, she's doing it again? You know what I mean? That like we joke with each other.
I
know mine for you already.
ASMR.
You don't like ASMR? When I do it to you or when I listen to it?
When you listen to it.
Oh,
or when you do it to me. Yeah.
You don't mind whenever I do this.
Super weird. I'm tired of waking up at like 3 a.m. and hearing, you are special. You belong.
I do. I listen to ASMR to fall asleep. It's pretty
creepy.
I know it's cringy, but why does it work? It puts me to bed like a baby. I love it. Can I tell you yours?
Sure.
Your restless leg syndrome. You're doing it right now.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you got to go after something I can't control.
I know. You can't. I can't control the ASMR.
Yeah. You literally turn it on. That's controlling it.
No, sorry.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding. Okay. So let's go into this one first, because there's what finally gave you the ick about your partner. And then there's men. What icks do you get from ladies? And ladies, what icks do you get from men? So we'll start with this one. What finally gave you the ick about a partner? I'll start. I have a very jealous boyfriend who is very accusatory with me when I'm as loyal as they come. He is also super broke, but I was blindly in love with him and helped him out for anything and everything. Today, as we were having dinner at a fancy restaurant, he accused me of flirting with the waiter simply because I was being nice and saying please and thank you. I watched him gobble up that expensive meal that I was paying for while he told me how I shouldn't be too nice to waiters and how it's disrespectful to him. And that scene right there finally gave me the ick. It was almost like a switch was flipped. Before that, I couldn't even imagine not being with this man. I even called him my soulmate, something else we talked about. Now I realized that I was blinded by my love for him, going to break up with him ASAP.
Yeah, I feel like this is getting more prevalent with all the like red pill, alpha, high value male type content that we're seeing online. Yeah, I think a lot of these guys, they want to make like the demands of a high value male. I don't know a ton about.
What's a high value male?
I think it's somebody that makes a lot of money and is very fit. And has strong morals or something like that. Which are fine aspirations, but
the way they present it,
the way they implement it is that it's very controlling. And that's what this is. Whenever you have nothing to offer your spouse, you try to, or your significant other, you try to control them, because if you can control them, then you can start to chip away at their self-esteem, and then you can get them to stay.
Red pill men, that's a fucking ick.
Yeah.
Red pill men, because they're all about control. You're correct. They're all about control. They want to control specifically women
Yeah.
so much. they better stay away from me. I'll get violent, physical. Get away. Yeah, this would give me the ick too. Honestly, that's something when I was dating, because haven't dated in over a decade now. But when I was dating, how you treat a waiter or waitress was very telling. It still is telling. If we go out with friends and I'm watching how you guys treat the waiter and the waitress, if you're shitty to them, if you don't leave a tip to them, I was a waiter, so I get it. You were a waiter, you get it. Everyone should work in that. This is kind of getting off on a tangent, but how you treat strangers is very telling.
Yeah, strangers and animals.
And how you treat animals specifically.
Yeah.
This would also give me the ick. Have you ever gotten ick from like a past girlfriend that, do you remember like certain scenarios, something that happened and you were like, yeah, I can't be with this person. Why didn't I see this before? Can't be with them.
Yeah, I remember one that I think we were talking and like it came around like past relationships, and she told me about like 5 past relationships that she cheated on them. and I was just like, Jesus. And so finally I was like, so like, did they do something, or what drove you to cheat? And she was like, oh, it just happened. And I was just silent, and I was like, yeah, I can't do this.
Yeah, that's not gonna work for me.
And then I dated her for 8 more months. Yeah.
Damn. Well, clearly it wasn't that big of an ick.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. One of them for me. This kind of goes, okay. One of them for me was a guy had broke up with me. Okay, and you're gonna be like, well, okay, you can't really call it an ick, but I did get the ick because when he sent me the breakup text, he told me, you're a different breed. And I remember reading that like, am I an animal to you?
That's
You're a different breed.
The easy
You're
letdown.
Too good for me.
Oklahoma style.
It is Oklahoma style. You're a fucking hick, dude. You can't at least call me. Send it over a text, but then you compare me, you are a different breed. As if, isn't that why people date? To find that breed that you're referencing? I'm so confused. Don't compare me to animals in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, that sounds like
It's a little weird.
That's the Oklahoma version of "It's not you, it's me."
It is. I'll just be honest. That's all I would ever want. Yeah, so we're going to get into more of these. When I wasn't allowed to hurt about him going on vacation to another country without me while we lived at his mother's house. So I was stuck there with her by myself for 2 weeks. But he could be pissed about me going to a friend's get together for one night when he did not want to go. How old are you?
Yeah.
Honestly, some of these, like, they do give me the ick. I'm like, I dare someone to treat me like that. Me now, the confident person I am now, I'm like, I would not deal with a lot of the shit that I'm about to read.
Yeah, it's that's why, like, you've got to get out, try new things, gain confidence, because insecurity just turns you into such a worm of a human, and it is destructive to all your relationships, not just romantic ones.
I wouldn't call them a worm, but so that's a very nice way to put it. I feel like my ex at the end of our relationship was putting a single flower on the car window of an attractive new neighbor in our complex, even leaving an occasional note about how pretty she is and he'd like to meet her. The fuck? First of all, apparently he did it a few times and the woman was having none of it and went to the police. Law enforcement showed up at his public service job to have a talk with him. He was so upset he came home to tell me the story to basically get sympathy. I was like, no, that is gross and predatory. We broke up the next week. That's weird.
Serial killer stuff.
Okay, not only that's cheating. Sorry, you're investing your time into another woman while you're with a woman. Unless you are not monogamous, if you have an open relationship, that's cheating to me. The fuck? Don't do that.
Yeah, and the way it was written, it doesn't sound like they have anything
open
agreed upon. Yeah,
right. I find guys do some weird shit. Guys do weird shit and then somehow try to justify it, and you're like, no.
Yeah, that's where gaslighting came from.
Yeah, it is. Men made that up. Let's see. He started shouting at someone he was discussing Star Wars with, then stomped out of the restaurant without me. I chased him down so I wouldn't be stranded. Once we got in the car, he started driving recklessly while asking me to tell him that he was in the right, getting angry over Star Wars.
Yeah,
It's not real. It's okay.
I can appreciate the passion, but
No.
getting that upset about Star Wars.
I can't appreciate the passion. Let me tell you that to me that I'm gonna ruffle some feathers with this one. That gives off the same energy as the guys that sit on the couch and scream at the TV
I was
of
about to
whatever
say that,
sport
yeah.
they're
Yeah.
watching. They're not playing. They've never played this sport a day in their life, but they're sitting on the couch screaming at the TV for
Yeah.
the team that they don't play for, crying when they lose. That's
Mm-hmm.
what that's giving. It's not real.
Smashing the TV.
Yeah,
Yeah.
screaming at their significant other,
Yeah.
screaming at the animals. What are you doing?
Using the royal we when you talk about the team.
We lost.
We're really good this year. We're gonna
It's
go the whole way.
weird.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's super weird.
Like, I was an athlete, okay? And I love watching a game of volleyball, okay? I am not screaming when they're not winning. And I'm not as invested as some of you guys are. It's a little weird. Let me tell you, when I'm sitting on the chair watching you, it's giving ick.
Yeah, I mean, like I understand we're tribal creatures, but some of the stuff that will form tribes over is so weird.
Sure. And that same person that's going to get mad at me will be like, oh, yeah, I saw your videos of you screaming, crying at Taylor Swift
Yeah, there you
at
go.
the Eras tour. Okay.
We're all
That's
guilty.
not the same. It's not the same.
Oh, why not?
I'm just playing.
Oh.
I'm just invested. Okay.
Yeah.
But sometimes it'd be real embarrassing for you and me. Okay. We left a rerun of a cult movie and grabbed a tram. It was packed and a clearly intellectually challenged or odd man who was at the same event joined our conversation with a great but innocuous point. He was clearly lonely and just trying to join in on the chat as a superfan, but my boyfriend completely overreacted and basically told him I was his and to stop flirting with his woman. He did it with so much venom and expected me to be grateful. The motherfucker could not read the room and chose to be mean to someone vulnerable when he could have just replied to his point or said nothing. Worse was the possessive declaration that came from nowhere. We had a long, awkward journey home crammed beside this man and everyone who heard his outburst. They were all staring at me like, girl.
Run.
It really turned me off in a visceral kind of way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like the little kid, you know,
Yeah.
declaring that a toy is his.
This is
That's-
mine.
Yeah, it's real weird.
First of all, we're not objects, but also if you can't keep your emotions under wrap just a little bit, it's icky.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's I don't know, I guess where they kind of masculinity went off the rails at some point in the last 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And I think that's one big part of it is being in control of your emotions. And there's so many people that think these like He-Man, alpha, I'll kick your ass type outbursts are attractive to women. And I have yet to see a woman that is attracted to any type of behavior like that. Yeah.
Especially to someone who clearly can't help their odd behavior. Like that's what this person's saying. Like this is anyone in the room can tell that this person is a little different. Why are we going to treat them like that?
Yeah.
Again, treating strangers, how people treat strangers is very telling. We don't need to yell at this poor man. Is he groping you? Is he touching you? Is he not taking a hint over and over and over? That's a little different. I can think of a time that, oh my God, I think we were newly engaged, but this was called for. We were newly engaged. We were at Coyote Ugly in Florida for a bachelorette party.
Yeah.
And this man would not get the fuck away from me. And he wouldn't like, I swear it felt like I turned and I was like, Jesus, there he is again, little leprechaun man, because he's half my size and I'm a very tall woman. And I was like, please leave me alone, you know, multiple times. Okay, now it's a pattern of behavior. Get the fuck away from me. He was touching, being inappropriate, and then you had to step in. That's a little different.
Yeah.
That's the masculine I would like. Hello, okay, he's not listening to me. He'll probably listen to a fucking man. Please leave. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never like the people that get irate if anybody approaches their girlfriend or
Yeah.
wife or whatever. Like, first of all, like if guys don't like look down at a ring, anything like that, it's not a common thing that they do. If they see a beautiful woman, like I'm aware that other men have eyeballs, and so you're gonna get looked at.
Yeah.
But like, if somebody comes up and just tries to say hi or strike up a conversation or anything, I don't understand like flying off the handle. Now,
No.
if once you present them the situation, I'm married, that's my husband right there. If they choose to push it beyond that, yeah, then that's getting to a
Right.
disrespectful point. But yeah, I don't know why people are so reactive about that type of stuff. It's a compliment.
It is a
Like,
compliment. If whenever I hear that girls hit on you, I'm like, good.
yeah,
You honestly, it's great for your confidence too. It's a good thing. It is all about how that person reacts when you say, actually, I'm married. I'm flattered though. Thank you so much. How they react then is also very telling. Are they going to keep approaching you? That's disrespectful. Get the fuck away from me. Are they like, oh my God, I had no clue? Why would this person scream at someone and in public?
Yeah.
I feel like in public, it's always like, if you're willing to do that in public, how are you behind closed doors in an argument, in something that you cannot control your emotions? You touched on something briefly that I want to bring up again. Men having control of their emotions is sexy. Men being emotionally intelligent, that is sexy. That is not an ick. I need more men to hear that and understand that.
Yeah.
You being with emotions and being aware that it's okay to have emotions, it's okay to cry, it's okay to be vulnerable. Those are very sexy things if you
Yeah.
didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of guys are still nervous or scared to be vulnerable.
Sure.
Because just like men have been brainwashed, there's plenty of women as well that are like,
Sure.
oh God, he's crying. That's disgusting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it kind of happens on both sides, and
Time out. I swear there's a ghost here. If you guys heard that, I'm so sorry.
everything's connected.
But it sounded like someone literally
Yeah.
blew into the mic. I swear there's a ghost here. No, I agree with you. There are women that treat men poorly because they're crying, or women that treat men poorly because they have some other emotion other than toxic masculinity. And that's not okay. But that's also the patriarch. If you really want to get into that, we could dive into that all the way back up to the man who decided those roles were correct.
Another day, maybe.
I love those talks. Mine was when he sent me a video where someone was being humiliated and then got angry when I didn't think it was funny. Instead of just accepting that, he picked a fight over it, which resulted in him blocking me for 3 days straight. Once he unblocked me, accusing me of leaving him in the cold. There was a lot wrong with this relationship in hindsight, but that was my oh fuck no moment.
Yeah. We're not doing bullies anymore.
No,
over.
bullying. Honestly, that's so unattractive. Like, again, stop treating strangers. It's a lot about how you're treating other people. Like, can you just be nice to someone?
Yeah.
Nothing's wrong with just being nice to people. Why are you humiliating another person? People have whole lives before they ever interacted with you. Why would you want to make someone feel bad? Like, you just never know what their tipping point is. You know what I mean? I would never want to be the reason someone said, you know what? That's my last day here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I'm going to butcher the quote, but it's something like, you can tell the measure of a person by how they treat people who have nothing to offer them.
Yeah.
Like if it doesn't mean as much if you're treating someone well who you stand to gain something from.
Yeah.
How do you treat the people who have nothing positive to offer you, nothing to improve your life or to make your life better? How do you treat those people? That really tells who you are.
You're giving me all kinds of feels over here.
We'll have to address that.
Bedroom's next door. Anyway, a couple more. I like what you said though. That's very true, and it's very sweet. Like honestly, men being sweet is just very attractive. Be the opposite of these people. I did 90% of the cooking and cleaning in my house. One day, this prick had the audacity to claim he did more because the 10% that he did do was at a higher standard than what I did. If I forgot to put even one single knife in the dishwasher, it's like I did nothing. Ick. That's like another thing though, like with I feel like the past generations of men have always worked outside or worked, and then the women were left to tend to the house and do the household chores and the children and all the work at home. That's still a fucking full-time job.
Yep.
And then it's trying to trickle down into the next generations, but it's not going to work because women work outside of the home, but also if they choose to be a what are they called? What are they called now?
Stay at home.
Like a stay-at-home mom, but there's another word for it, like a homemaker. That's still a full-time job. But I can't stand when someone, let's say you do choose to be a homemaker, and the other spouse chooses to come home and be a lazy slob in your work, in your profession.
Because they worked 8 hours.
Because they worked 8 hours. You also worked. It doesn't mean you have to work for them and pick up after them. I just don't understand this idea of thinking because, A, you've never done this to me. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Men in my family, I have seen treat women like this before. And I just don't understand it. You're both working.
Yeah.
Why are we bean counting who's doing more?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think a lot of people just, it's just a continuation of what they saw growing up. Like my dad cooked, he cleaned, he did all the stuff and helped. And so all of us boys cooked and cleaned, and going into our relationship, we cooked and cleaned and helped. And so I think it's you kind of emulate the home situation that you saw growing up.
This is where I'm going to circle back around and say, this is why I don't know if I said this here or in the actual podcast episode, I think it's important to live together before you get married because you don't know of those dynamics until you're there in them. And sometimes this stuff can be taught. Like you said, a lot of it is watching what you grew up with. I watched screaming, throwing things to get a point across. So I tried that. Didn't really work because that's not how you grew up, and it's toxic. It's not a great environment to be screaming and trying to get someone's attention that way. Versus you telling me that's not going to work. You know what I mean? Telling someone that's not going to work. You're going to have to put in your half of this. I'm not your mother. You're not my mother. I'm not going to pick up after you. You're not going to pick up after me. You're not going to know that until after you move in with someone.
Yeah.
It's like, God forbid you get married and then move in and then they're like, no, I'm not changing that. Oh, yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
I would just never, that would never work for me.
Yeah. I mean, you don't see a lot of things. You don't, if you just see them for dates and everything, and the person they choose to present themselves as on a date, you don't see like laziness, lack of drive, lack of integrity. You're pretty much seeing whatever they want you to see for that 3-4 hour date.
Yeah. I'm very much team move in together. Move in, sign a lease together. Okay, we'll do a couple more because I didn't realize on Reddit, like the stuff that's upvoted might not always be at the top. No. Like some of these are.
What are you sorting by?
Oh, I wasn't sorting.
Scrolling. You can sort by most upvoted. What? I think you can sort by controversial, which means what got the most total votes up and down.
Up and down, yeah.
That's a G-way.
I don't see that on here right now, so I'll look at that later. But let me get back down to this comment. Piggybacking on this, the one I just told you guys about 90% cooking and cleaning. Piggybacking on this, my ex said since he made more money than me, it should be a given that I do more housework, even though we were both working 40 hours a week, full-time jobs. This is another thing I see a lot online. I just know, and this is why I say I would be perfectly content alone, because I would rather be alone than deal with this shit.
Yeah.
And like, you would never do any of this to me. I would never do any of this to you. This is crazy to me. I'm the breadwinner. I don't give a fuck. You live in this house with me.
Yeah.
We both make a mess. We both work. Once again, it's a little different if you have something that works in your relationship where one of you does the household chores and one of you works, and that's what you choose to work for you guys.
Yeah, it's talked about and agreed upon. Yeah.
If it's agreed upon and it's in a respectful manner. But this just like would never work for me. What do you think about that though? Like,
Yeah, it makes no
As a
sense.
man,
You're
like,
both working the same, 40-hour week. Yes, you happen to bring in more money from your job, but you guys are both working 40 hours. Like that, the how much money you bring in shouldn't come into it at all.
yeah,
Each side, if you're both holding up your end of the deal, you both offer things that are valuable to the relationship. And
right.
this, all the bean counting is, it's just a path to disaster.
It is, and it's honestly just them telling you like they don't respect you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't make as much money, so I don't respect you. Doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's just saying I'm lazy, so I'm going to take this thing that really doesn't mean that much. Like, the numbers that go into the bank account from your job happen to be a little bit higher. You're putting in the same 40 hours. You're both
Right.
physically working the same. So, none of that makes any sense.
No. This one says, once I got groped on the metro, and the first thing that came out of my then partner's mouth was, well, what were you wearing?
Done. Bye.
Done. Bye. Absolutely diabolical. Get out of my face.
Yep.
I just would literally lose my shit. Someone replied, not exactly the same, but I just had this conversation with my dad the other day, and it's been bothering me so much. We're going away as a family. He and his wife, his kids, and spouses and grandkids. He hates bikinis. Says they're too revealing, and not to be surprised if we get graped. I don't want to say the word, wearing them. Fuck. Like, how disgusting can you be? Obviously, after the fact, I have all these calm thoughts and ideas of what to say, but in the moment, I'm just silent because I know there's no point in arguing with him. He's 82 years old. He's not changing his mind, but it's fucking gross. I'm not going to read the rest of this because it doesn't matter. What the fuck is wrong with you?
It's so weird that that's where your brain goes.
But think of this generation, and I'm for your daughter, exactly.
Oof.
Some of this generation, what generation would that be? Is that boomers? If he's 82?
Might trickle into the next one.
I don't know if it's the next one or not. I'm gonna be honest, but that is why it's so important for men right now, today, men need to stand up to this type of shit. You know what I mean? Not just women, because like they're not listening to us. Men need to stand up to this because this is bullshit.
Yeah.
You're upset about a bikini? Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, you view women as objects if you think that. If you think that we are just here for our bodies, if you think that.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason.
Yeah.
You literally said, don't be surprised if something bad happens to you because of what you're wearing.
Mm-hmm.
If I ever come across someone that thinks this way, I might go back to my old ways and start yelling.
Yeah, I think, and that generation tends to be a bit more religious, and you can see from, Eve eating the apple.
She was naked, guys.
Women started the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then women cause you to stumble, and your clothing is making me stumble,
Mm-hmm.
and blah 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 blah. Like you don't
have a choice.
Yeah, like it's on you. Like you caused me to think those things or to have those feelings, or you could just go on with your life. It doesn't make sense. That does get dumped at the feet of women far too often. It's kind of, I think millennials are kind of starting the change, and I think Gen Z is going to put a real dent in it, though. So I'm hoping we continue to see progress there.
Yeah. That's all I got for you for this one.
Well, those were entertaining and horrifying. And
should I go into the other icks, though? There's other Reddit threads.
Well, you can't just reveal the whole thing here. This is juicy bits. We're getting into much more than a bit.
That's true.
We're getting into like a juicy piece.
He's sleepy. To be quite honest, we still haven't packed for our flight tomorrow. So we should probably go do that. But I hope you guys liked it. If you have any theme ideas or anything you guys just want us to chat about, let us know. But that's all for now. Thanks for coming to the juicy bits.
Nice. That was cool.
Yeah, right?
All right.
Bye, guys.
Thanks.
Juicy.